I'm Sami. Hopefully I've met you all over the weekends. If I haven't, please come and speak with me after this. I've, last April, I'm a student at University of Manchester, just finished my first year doing computer science. Last April, I helped co-organize a GreatUniHack. GreatUniHack was third 6 hour in Manchester. Had really some interesting stories about how it came to be. For how many of you did know that actually GreatUniHack was supposed to be in March? Yeah, wow, we got a survivor from the march. So yeah, in March we were supposed to have a hackathon then, but we couldn't secure a venue by time, so we pushed it again to April. When we first started, we went obviously to like a good organizer. We went to guideNLH.io. There was this big font that says, "A venue will truly make or break your hackathon." That's actually really true. It almost broke our hackathon. So and until a day before the event, we didn't actually have the venue locked in. We were like running like headless chicken in the last month, going over 80 to 83 venues to try and get over on board, but we couldn't do it. Um, a week before the hackathon, or two, I guess, I went to Joe and was like, "Joe, we are screwed over. Please help us." And then MLH, everyone got on board and like they're starting helping us. They pushed the event to happen. So this is an advice actually. If you have a problem, speak with MLH, and the sooner the better. At least they won't take. At least something will happen. Anyway, so you want to do a hackathon. You want to do it in a great venue. Everyone wants to have an amazing event. The best events happen in the most amazing venues. But before going to approach a venue, you first need to know what actually you're looking for. So a cool space is actually important, but you have some stuff to focus on. You have the power and internet, which are like very standard stuff. The infrastructure, you want to be able at least for two and a half devices per person. When you go to a venue, ask for a meeting with the IT people, ask them with a meeting with the electrician, inform them what kind of event it is, because like, even if a venue supports the number, they don't always have the infrastructure. I have some example for that. Next, you want to make sure it's a warm space. I think only Maria went to GreatUniHack. Yes. Oh, Tim as well. You can say we didn't have really the warmest space at all. It was freezing cold, especially in the night, and it was April. April in Manchester is cold. Make sure that does not happen. Make sure the venue is well warmed. If I asked them for heating, so in our case, they told us you didn't give us much time in front. I thought it's like a normal thing to do. Like I thought warm space is just standard stuff, but you actually have to ask them to have the space warmed overnight. It's not something they would do usually. Also, you would like to have a free venue. That's on the MLH guide, but you can also find really low-cost options, lots of them. So even if you didn't find a free venue, that's not the end of the world. You can find low-cost options everywhere. I'll talk about them. That's basically the meat of the talk. Now, there are some things that's nice to have, but they are not really needed. So heavy equipped, a venue with heavy equipment is amazing. Like that's like cool stuff. You're asking for more than you need, but you probably can you can hire the heavy equipment. Or if you ask around your student union, I'm pretty sure there's a society about IT or IT stuff, AV stuff. They will gladly do it for some publicity. Or just ask around your school. We did that after the hackathon, so we hired the stuff, and then we found out we could actually get them for free. Auditor rooms. Many sponsorships has workshops in it or like tutorials for sponsors. If you have that on your sponsorship, make sure your venue actually have a space for that. Auditor rooms are also amazing for sleeping. Speaking of experience, sleeping in lecture theaters. But yeah, they're amazing for sleeping. You want a sleeping area for your hackers. They're going to be tired, especially after 24 hours. They will get stressed. They want to sleep. Lighting. This also goes with either natural lighting or just lighting like that. A very dark venue would be very hard to hack in. It gets quite moody. That happened to us. I think the lighting could have worked better if we asked for it. Again, you always have to speak with your venue, be clear what you want, tell them exactly how the hackathon is going to work. sit with them, even if a meeting takes even if you meet with them more than once or twice, we have to meet with them a lot to make sure stuff runs smoothly, because the venue is like the most important thing you have. Layout, I personally prefer open spaces. Open big spaces allow for more interactions between hackers, but I've seen hackathons which done in like small classrooms, which also worked well. So have some sort of mind before you approach venues. It helps you approach more venues faster. Storage, lots of sponsors will send you swags and other stuff in a week or two before the hackathon. So keep that in mind. If the venue does not have it, store it in your school, house, or wherever, but just don't stress about it. We forgot about it until last week. So I just skimmed over that because I want to talk about this. As I've said, we approached over 80 venues, and I've seen all kind of venues you can possibly have. Well, at least in Manchester. So we have the obvious university campuses, which are usually the vanilla of hackathons, most student hackathon ones there. Then you have the co-working spaces, quite popular in London apparently, which are also awesome places. You have hotels like Hot Nuts happen there, and then co-working spaces, dry hire like production studio, school, gym, anything without any equipment in it is basically qualified to be a dry hire. That's where we run our hackathons. I'll talk that about later. But first, before you approach a venue, you need some tool with you. You need a risk assessment, a floor plan, proposal, and some sort of a budget in your mind. So Tim talked about how important paperwork is. That's the paperwork you have to deal with before approaching venues. It's really important. There are some funny stories happen there. So with the budgets, approaching a venue, probably your second decision you do after you choose to do a hackathon. So you probably don't know your exact budget. That's absolutely fine. You just need to keep in your mind what you want. What's the least amount of money can you run a hackathon with? For example, if you're going for 24 hours, I think there was a number on top of my head, like 40 quid per hacker somewhere. I don't know, Greg, but 40 quid per hacker. So I think it's 40 pounds per hacker budget for that, and think if you can meet that target, can you approach the venue you want? So with more money, you can approach better venues. Factor 5. But also, think what you actually want. So if you want to have it in a football field, Manchester United football field, think about that. Have a budget for it. You don't know what happens. So if you have both or more than one options, it's always better. Actually, we have 3-4 budget sheets for different venues. So if we said if we are going for hotels, it's going to cost us that much. So we can take off these stuff. It helps a lot, especially your logistics team, your finance team. Everyone will be happy. Just budget first before approaching venue. Proposal. So you want to write a proposal to venues, especially the ones that you can actually get for free or for low cost. So keep it short and sweet. Don't go over 4 pages probably of slides, like 2 paragraphs per slide would be fine. More than that, they wouldn't read it. Tell them what a hackathon is. They are really scared of hackathons. Don't tell them it's hacking. Tell them it's competitions, programming competition, or something like that. Keep it innovating. They love this word. Inclusive, innovating events that bring developers from around the UK. They dig it. Attendees. So who's attending your hackathon? Are there middle-aged people middle-aged people coming from Nigeria, or are they students from Manchester only, or Manchester, or just the UK students? Just keep them informed who's going to be in their venue, their spaces. They want to feel safe giving you the space, especially if it's overnight. Then you have the past events. So if you've run some events, that's amazing. Even if it's not a hackathon, even if it's just like 12-hour workshops, you gave a talk somewhere, put that in and say, our society run these events. We have some public profile. We are not just some random people coming from the street and want to use space overnight. You want to make them feel safe. So if they feel safer, they will help you get the space. Videos and pictures. So I wanted to give the photographers talk, but Joe screwed me up and put it with the sponsors. So videos and pictures are really important. It helps them think what a hackathon is. if you don't have pictures from your past events or videos, you just borrow the MLH one, obviously giving proper credit somewhere. But use pictures and videos, it shows how well received these events are. Then benefits, what sort of stuff they will get from this. So each type of venue will care about something specific. They don't always care about the same stuff. I'll talk about them more in specific later. Contact details about you, about your team, so they know who to speak with. They feel safer again. You want to keep them feel safe. So yeah, that's probably about proposal. I will come back to that when I start speaking about each option. Next, you have the risk assessment. How many of you would actually hear about risk assessment before running a society? I haven't, and I was in charge of paperwork. So when I've been asked to write a risk assessment, I was like, what am I supposed to write in the risk assessment? What am I supposed to write in the risk assessment? I really got clueless. I said for some online examples, nothing was like really close to hackathons. So just like for information's sake, for who doesn't know, risk assessment is basically a form of saying what possibly could go wrong, what kind of hazards, and how you are dealing with it. And they want to see you are aware of the possible consequences of the event and you well prepared. You want to always talk about the length and overnight nature. They are not used to having hackathons. They probably haven't run hackathon before. So you need to tell them it's going to be overnight and we have security, we have well-lit areas, that kind of jazz. You should have those stuff as well. Attendees admissions process, so how are you taking people in? Are they just going to walk from the streets into a hackathon straight away, or do you prefer, or are you going to have selective admission? Are they, like, do you know their backgrounds? Do you have their profiles, and so on? Accessibility for disabled, you have to say, like, if the venue is not accessible for disabled people, how you're dealing with that? Are you volunteers trained for dealing with them? If not, are you going to tell the attendees that it's not very accessible for them? Basically, you have to tell them exactly what you are telling attendees. Responsible people, basically that's you guys. The organizer, the people who knows the space, knows the event very well. You need to go to the venue more than, you need to know the venue like palm of your hand. You need to tell them that if anything goes wrong, I'm responsible. I can't take care of people within reasonable. Then you fire risks. Soldering. If have any of you run, so if you run a hackathon with soldering, risk jumps up much higher. If you're going to have soldering, you need to have that in your risk assessment. You need to say you are going to have proper trained people watching over people who are soldering. Fire risk also, you need to, if you bring any equipment to the venue, it needs to be part tested or being purchased in the last year of the hackathon, just like for health and safety stuff. Health and safety information. So informing attendees, you always need to do that, even if not for the venue. You need to tell your attendees what's happening. Give them the space. Give them a floor plan even before they come. Inform them when the hackathon start. Where the fire exits are, always the green man. That kind of stuff. You need to write all of that in your assessment. Then first aiders, we had Maria coming for our rescue. You need first aider in your event if it's going to be over 24 hours or more, especially if a venue cares about this stuff. Most venues did. So you need first aider in your event. If you don't have it in your team, just ask your attendees. We did that. We got Maria. It's awesome. Thank you. Mental health, which was surprisingly weird for me, but apparently you need to have some sort of events that keep people not going mental for staying over 24 hours. So having side events like MLH, a werewolf game, very cool games. Write that down in your stress assessment. It makes the people who are managing the space feel safer because you are thinking about every possible consequences. And then you have cabling. If you have cables, you will probably have cables. You need to duct tape all the cables. Write that down in your desk assessment. Food and drinks. If you're getting your food from somewhere, you will need to have nutrition facts written down, allergies and whatever. You need to cater for different allergies. All that has to be gone in the risk assessment. And I finished this? Yes. Finally. I hate risk assessments. Next was the floor plan. I didn't know about this at all. I received a phone call while I was coming back from London 3 days ago, 3 days before the event, and they told me, we need a floor plan, else you won't have the space. I was like, okay, floor plans. I didn't even know what a floor plan is. I didn't have a clue that I actually had to draw tables and stuff. I took my phone, I started to paint, and using paint, I drew some circles, and I said, these were people are going to sit. There are some proper ways to do it. There are templating softwares that actually generate these tables for you. You need to have a floor plan about the space you're going to use. Have it away from fire exits. You need to say where tables are. If you're going to have cabling, which will you do, you need to have cables in different colors. How are they going to be connected to the tables? All that sort of stuff. You need to have it before the event, else you will risk getting cancelled. You don't want that. That would happen. Hacknots almost happened to us. No one wants that. A lot of stress. Seating layout, location, yeah, that's done. Okay, cool. So let's talk about the spaces you can have. You have the university campus, the vanilla. It's like so simple to go with it. It's already have the infrastructure ready for supporting 200, 300, 400 people daily, hopefully. It's usually free, sometimes not in our case. You actually have to take it very seriously, this one. Approach the proper people. Don't waste your time with the small people like, what's their name, student support officer or whatever. Don't go for small fishes. Just go for the biggest person, you know, director of study, head of school. We did that. So you see them, they will take you to the right person. Write your pitch. You should be tailored for students' employability. So who is going, like your sponsors of the events are usually the people who are going to hire the students. This give your students, give the students much more, make them more employable, which is valuable for universities, most of them, hopefully. Also, it shows it paints the university in good color. You have to mention that. Speak with higher ups. Again, don't waste time with the small people. You will just get confused. Get academics on board after you send email to your head of school and head of director of studies. Go to speak with some academics. Tell them what the event is. Why do you want it? It's enhanced people's learning. It's encourage communications, improve their, I don't know, just write normal bullshit. Get them on board. More people signed in for it, the more likely you're going to increase the chances of getting the head of school to agree. Send risk assessment floor plan in advance. So universities really don't trust their students. They have horror story about how students screw their spaces. They've seen the worst and they expect the worst. If anything bad happens, it's them who's going to jail, not you. So make them feel safe. If they feel safe, they are more inclined to give you a chance, at least to speak your mind. When you send this, have a meeting with them, or actually more than one meeting if you can. Make sure the event manager and health and safety person is available during meeting. Make sure he's happy with everything you're doing. With all that, they still can't say no to your event, and you can't do much about it. You're not entitled to the space, basically, and you have to just suck it up and move on. If you can't get the university for some reason, like your event is too big or your event is over 24 hours, they don't like more than 24 hours, then you have nothing to do else than approaching new people. Co-working spaces. Co-working is my favorite. They're equipped with internet and power infrastructure to support startups. They are really cool, stylish looking spaces. The best. You can actually get them for free because they want you. They want you. They want your event. You are basically the people. You bring the people who is their main target. They want the people who you bring, and you have to tell her that for them. Like you say, we bring in 200. Like you give them the X number of students you bring in, and who's your sponsors. They love U.S. sponsors. They love the Americans. They love German sponsors. I've been told as well, because like we've contacted some coworkers in Manchester, and they were giving us list of names. They prefer people from outside just to show off their branding. Their brand, they care a lot about their brand. So the more you fuss about their brand on your social media, on your website or wherever, the more likely they will support you even more. They will get you even a sponsor if you're on board. Have a meeting just in case. Make sure you speak with the IT people, speak with the electrician. Always do this. Like this should be a standard, having a meeting even if it's not needed. They're more likely to say yes even before meetings, but it's just better. Social media, them, as I said, they're really keen on branding. So with co-working spaces, some of them are not big. At least that was the case in Manchester. So we had to approach new people, and forget photographers. I thought I deleted that. don't mind. So we had to approach new people, and those were hotels. Hotels are like my least favorite. They cost money. They don't care about the event. They only care about the money. If you have the money, you get the space. You don't have the money, you just get out. They won't give you little discounts. You might get a discount, but you won't get that free space. Infrastructure is horrible. So from the most hotels I spoke with, they couldn't support the devices we're bringing in electricity-wise, let alone internet. Their space would be for 400 people. Their internet would be only for 20, 30 people. They're just that bad. If you want to hire anything extra, you have to pay. It's always like paying, so I don't really like them. Still have a meeting with them, make sure that's all clear, because I've said that was from my experience. Might be different in the UK. It was different in Nottingham. So just always have a meeting, make sure that's the start. But if you have the money, I wouldn't go for this option. If they ask you what style of your event is, dining style. So they're more familiar with that. Dining style is basically how you set it with the hackathons. If you have the money, I would go for this one. As you can tell from logo, it's going to be stressful, time-consuming, and very expensive option. But it's very customizable. It goes the way you want it. Booking procedure. They want branding, but they also want money because the dry hire are really expensive. But the expensive part is not the venue itself. You probably can't get it for free because if they don't have an event, they are losing money. So you can get it for free, but you will have to pay for a lot of other stuff. Electricity, in our example, we had to pay for electricity, for water, for cleaning, for guards. So keep that in mind when you're approaching them. If you're going to have them as sponsors, make sure that they're covering the ops. The ops really cost a lot, cost an arm and a leg for more than half of the budgets went to the ops cost only. Pitch to branding, so they care a lot about their branding, especially in your eyes of sponsors. So if you say you're getting, they love banks. That's the thing I noticed. If you are getting Capital One or whatever, just say that. They love that. Floor plan, so the new thing about them, they have something called electrical layout plan. Dry hire spaces don't have normal sockets, else it didn't work. You won't have the cable extensions going all around the space. You have something called phase 3 electricity, it's like massive. Who've been to Battle Hack? No one. Oh, you guys. They had those massive generator. It's like you plug it into big sockets and it starts distributing electricity. So those cost a lot of money again. You need to hire a proper electrician. You can't do it yourself. So keep that in mind. Speak with the electricians, show them the venue. The sooner they do it, you do it, the better, because you get a better idea about how much it's going to cost you. The venue also, if you speak with them about it, they can suggest you options because they've done this before. They've done similar events before. They usually don't mind 24 hours or 36 hours, surprisingly, because they have guards all the time. Meetings, obviously. Keep informed with them, have your team meeting with them, have meetings with electricians, IT people, just make sure you know what's happening, and they know what's happening as well. Social media them, get photographers again, I forgot to remove that. Some important tips. Save money insurance. So in our case, we were going to have to buy insurance for attendees, which costed about $750. But then I thought maybe we can ask the student union. Apparently, societies in our university were covered under student union insurance, and we managed to get a free 10 million, up to 10 million public liability insurance. Worth checking out with the university. Maybe you guys have the same. I heard Newcastle also have the same system, so photographers are based. So with photographers, if you get a photographer, you invest for a long time. If you get proper photographers this event, you sort it for the next one. Those pictures you use for pitching your event next year, your space will probably more likely to offer you the space if you provide a proper branding. They really love that stuff. Even if a photographer might sound expensive, 500 or 1,000 pounds, they're still worth it, totally worth it, especially for years to come. Paperwork done as soon as possible. So I'm guilty of that. I've left the paperwork until last week. Wasn't pretty. We do the paperwork even before approaching the venues. This have you a lot of headaches. Even if you pushed it away, you still have to do them. And if you don't do them correctly, you risk not getting the venue. Recall what goes in meetings. This was probably the worst in our case. So with our space, we agreed on some sort of stuff verbally, but then a month before the event, stuff happened and they've changed their minds and started charging us for ridiculous stuff. And then a week before the event, they doubled that charge as well. So we sort of got like screwed over, but you can avoid that easily if you, after every meeting, you write down the key minutes, email them to confirm those key minutes, CC everyone in your team, CC everyone in their team. This way, everything will be clean and clear what's happening. If they start playing around, you have all the evidence to support what you're claiming. Even phone, even if you speak with them over phone, not only in person, everything, write it down. It will save you so much pain, especially if you're going outside university. Last not least, update your website regularly, especially if you have a venue that's care about branding. If you update your websites regularly, you get new hits, and you can show them you're getting these hits. If you have Google Analytics or whatever, they love that stuff. I think, oh my God, I ran 5 minutes more. So, sorry for running over the time. Good luck. Happy hunting.